What's good, everybody? It's your boy Dominic, aka Dom the Cyber Genius, and I'm coming back to you guys with another video. Guess what we got here? We got another healthcare organization affected by a data breach. This organization specifically is Independent Living Systems, and we're going to figure out, and I'm going to talk about what really happened during their data breach, how many individuals were affected, and what this kind of means for the healthcare organization or sector as a whole, and what we're going to most likely see trickle down once 2023 starts getting to go. So let's get to it. As you see here, I have my cyber threat intelligence report on the left, and I have my article on the right. As you know, Independent Living Systems, they are a Miami-based healthcare organization, and they did suffer a data breach. I believe it occurred last year, but it was just all the details are starting to come out now. They did state that the data breach exposed the personal information of 4.2 million individuals exactly, or the specific number is 4,226,508. So 4 million people got their data exposed. I'm going to talk about what data was actually exposed and how that can lead to other types of attacks. And I'm going to talk about that later on in the video. But as we get down or trickle down into it, they did say that because of this um, extensive breach and how many people were affected, it makes this incident the largest data breach in the healthcare sector that was disclosed this year. A lot of incidents probably aren't disclosed just for personal reasons, or they just don't want their credibility or rep to get messed up. But the biggest one known to date that's been disclosed for the healthcare organization specifically or sector goes to Independent Living Systems. That's not a game that you don't want to win. This isn't The Price is Right where, hey, come on down. Nope, we do not want to win the data breach game. So that is another thing you guys want to think about when it comes to how widespread this issue actually became. So now as we scroll down and we're just trying to get into it, they did state that they learned that the threat actors got access to their network around July 5th of last year. So this attack, you could say, has been going on for almost a year now, if you want to say it like that. But it was July of last year where they actually found out, hey, the threat actors gained unauthorized access to their network. And they did say during the investigation, the firm discovered that the threat actors had access to its systems. It was most likely between June 30th and July 5th of 2022. Some data stored on the network was also stolen during the attack. And now I'm going to get into the TTPs. These are more of just, I would say, data breach TTPs, because when these articles kind of come out, they don't really tell you how they got exposed. They just say, hey, my data was stolen, or our network was infiltrated on this date and this and this and that. And then they'll say, this is the amount of information that was stolen. This is how it's infected. And then they'll try to talk about other sectors or organizations that are in that same job sector as the company that got breached. And they'll kind of just talk about how it's been affecting that company as well as the whole sector in the grand scheme of things. So I'm kind of basing my TTPs off of just what I've seen in the past and just what is really common when it comes to data breaches. So the first one I have is resource development. So this is a compromise in accounts and infrastructures. I'm gonna get into the actual what is it, data that they stole, but this is a compromise in your infrastructure. Usually when we see hospitals and healthcare organizations get attacked, it causes a lot of widespread damage. So things like system outages, having to ship people to other hospitals because everybody's backed up, and a lot of other stuff that we never want to see when it comes to our healthcare systems. Next is credential access. So this is getting access to people's credentials, their names, all that and above when it comes to just logins and things like that. If I'm an attacker, I don't want some regular old Joe Schmo account. I want privilege escalation. I want the admin account that's going to control all the systems and allow me to get as much data as I can. Next, privilege escalation. So I got exploitation for privilege escalation. I got valid accounts. Like how I said again, they want the admin rights and they want to be able to access whatever it is that they want to do. So that's what I got for privilege escalation. Next, I got info or exfiltration over C2 channel. So I got the tactic exfiltration. This is because no matter what, any data breach, any attack, you have to figure out a way to exfiltrate or get that data out of the system and into your control. So the threat actors most likely had some form of C2 channel, whether that's botnets or some other type of thing that they did. That's what I kind of figured when it comes to just the exfiltration. Next, I got initial access, valid accounts. So once they get into these accounts, they kind of can do whatever they want and abuse them. Impact, data manipulation, and destruction. This is more of what can the attacker do with that sensitive data, right? As you see in the article, it says full names, social security numbers. All this stuff could be used for phishing, but all of it could also be manipulated and destroyed and make it to where they conduct identity fraud or any other attack that can cause financial harm to an individual. And lastly, I believe it's reconnaissance. So gathering information, as you see here on the right of my screen. When I was looking at this, I kind of felt bad and sad when the type of information that they said they may have accessed. Obviously, it's not confirmed that they accessed this or this is the type of data they access, but hopefully it's not. But they did say the threat actors might have accessed full names, social security numbers, taxpayer identification numbers, medical information, and even health insurance. This is all stuff that can be used against someone can conduct identity fraud if they're able to pick apart and put together the specific type of information. They can start making stuff in people's names, registering for things, and all this stuff can go to the moon if the threat actor is that motivated. And then phishing for information, they obviously can use this type of info to make the messages a lot more real and realistic, as well as legitimate. And because of that, they can make people fall for it more easier because they're using things like their social security, their full name, and their medical information. So if they have all that and that's matching up, then that means these people or these users will probably fall for the attack a lot more or a lot easier. Next, I got affected assets and organizational impact. Sorry if I'm talking loud or if it sounds kind of small because it's late where I'm at recording this at like 4 a.m. It's about to get out today. But we got to get that work in. Yeah, I'm recording this at 4 a.m. because I was kind of had an off day today. But anyway, we're gonna continue to still get this content and continue to work, baby. Let's go. As far as the affected assets and organizational impact, they did say during the time period of the attack, they stated the threat actors may have accessed the data I just went over. So that was the full name, the social security numbers, etc. So all the stuff I kind of just said, they said they may have accessed it. So we don't know for sure if they actually did that or accessed that specific information, but that's most likely what they probably access. Like how I said again, this information is sensitive, and if it's put in or accessed by the wrong hands, it could lead to a lot of cyber attacks as far as identity fraud, and any other fraudulent attacks against these innocent patients. Threat actors can also use this information to launch phishing and scamming campaigns. That's another note that I had mentioned earlier. That's kind of the biggest thing that I see with these is they'll get this sensitive information and then be able to scam people out of even more money. So that's another crazy motive that threat actors have out here. And lastly, this is not the first healthcare data breach this year. There have been a few since the first quarter of 2023. I believe if you scroll down here, out of all these, or I guess the total, I remember the biggest one. I think I may have did a video on community health systems. I believe I'm gonna have to check in the archives for that. But if I did do a video, I may try to include a link at the top of the screen and see if I actually did that. But they did say out of the first quarter of 2023, it resulted in millions of users, information being stolen, as well as systems being compromised. So as you see here, 3.3 million patients, medical data, millions of people. So it's a lot. It's a 3.18 million. So about 7 to 8 million people have been affected. And you can even maybe double that with this one. So that probably, this is 8 million or so, or 7 million with the other three incidents that were actually disclosed, and maybe more, then that means it's up to 11 or 12 million now due to the independent living systems breach and them having 4.2 million users data exposed. So it's just getting worse and worse as we go along 2023. Lastly, the mitigation and response. The firm has notified the individuals that were affected by this incident. The notifications also included some instructions on what the threat, or my bad, it included some instructions on what the users can do as far as their accounts and how they also can enroll in one free year of identity protection services by Experian. And that's really it. I didn't really see too much about what mitigations they had. There may be some. I'll try and look it up and maybe update the video or just update something on my LinkedIn as far as this. But as far as the report that I did, I didn't see really no mitigations besides some of the things, right? They are working with law enforcement, most likely. They are saying that they're getting with law enforcement and other external cybersecurity companies to help mitigate this process and investigate the actual incident. But if I'm a user, I don't want no goddamn one free year of identity protection services by Experian. I want to know that my hospital has my data secured because there's a lot of sensitive information within a hospital, and that if it's put into the wrong hands, it can be super detrimental, not just for the hospital, but for all the users and all the people that stay and are registered with that hospital. I don't want no identity protection services. I want reimbursements of funds or money, or if something's lost, I want to be able to have direct lines to maybe change my social security number or be able to on the fly change my medical information or maybe put it under an alias to where now I'm not as likely to be affected. So I feel like they need to do a little bit more as far as the identity protection services are. I know hospitals are backed up due to COVID and all this other stuff, and I know they get overworked, but I also know it's $1 billion industry, and no matter what, we're always going to need health, and they're always going to be around. So I know they could afford it. It's sad to see over 4.2 million people's money. I mean, not even money, data being lost or stolen. It's kind of like the SVB bank. It's like there's really nothing you could do about it. It was nothing that was on our hands. Yes, the SVB bank collapse happened because a lot of people took their money out and SVB invested it and over leveraged their money, thinking that interest rates weren't going to be as high as they were, and they turned out to be wrong. So that's kind of why the bank collapsed, or that's what I kind of figured out why it collapsed. But I feel like hospitals need to do a better job, and the education sector as well. It's just protecting people's assets and data, right? This is something that's been going on for years and won't continue to stop unless we start beefing up hospitals. I feel like a lot more, there's certain job sectors that I've seen. Obviously, I'm still on my quest to land my cybersecurity dream job and stuff. But I've seen the different articles and podcasts and things like that, and there are a lot of the sectors that are most important are the ones that aren't even secure. That's why you see all these education attacks or ransomware geared towards them. You've seen colleges, like I forget what it is, a college, I think it was in Atlanta, it was at HBCU, closed down forever. They closed down due to a ransomware attack, and they were the ones that survived the plague, I believe, the Spanish War, COVID, in the recession, and all due to a little ransomware attack. They had to close their systems and their school forever. So that's why you see these big time schools as well as job sectors being affected because they're not taking cybersecurity serious. I don't know what it's going to take. I feel like it needs to be something looked up at the higher ups, as well as cybersecurity needs to be looked at as an organizational problem or organizational task or thing, if you want to put it that way. It's not just on the security team. It's not just on the IT team. It's everybody. Everybody has to be safe. The security and IT team lead the way. They lead the negotiation. They inform you about the attacks. They inform you how to use industry best practices when it comes to being safe. And then it's on everybody else's job to then do it. So, management in other areas need to be more enforceful as far as enforcing these security rules and these protocols, right? Because we can pass everything down to you and we can give you all the work, but Sally in sales doesn't know what a phishing email is. She may click on it. So we just have to be able to have better communication. I feel like if we work on, it's going to take a long time. I know cybersecurity is an expense, but the biggest thing that we could start with is just communication and being able to communicate that cybersecurity is not a one man or one woman's job. It's everybody's job. And that's really it for my take on this independent living systems healthcare incident. Hope you guys liked and enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something today. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Like, comment, subscribe, and you already know what it is. Peace.